Anything interesting this week? Something quick and something very interesting. I wonder if there was anything like that. Hmm. So welcome back. So as you can see here, in the Epic versus Apple trial, basically there was a conversation about one of the characters, PEELY. For quick reference, this is what PEELY looks like, and this is what Agent PEELY looks like. Basically, Apple was questioning why is there a banana in a tuxedo, and the interaction is here. We have a large yellow banana here in a tuxedo. Yes, that's PEELY. We thought it was better to go with the suit instead of the naked banana because we are in federal court right now, Apple's lawyer noted, before going on to ask questions about PEELY's exclusivity in certain paid-for battle passes. And as Eurogamer mentions here, protocol reporter Nick Scott suggested the line of questioning was intended by Apple to paint Epic as some greedy game company exploiting children, exposing them to lewd content. It's probably built on the argument about itch.io being very LGBTQ positive and so and inclusive, and so basically this is just to like stack on more and more onto that argument. And basically Epic said, a little bit of digression, we talked about PEELY our banana. There might have been an implication that showing PEELY without a suit might have been inappropriate. And they asked, is there anything inappropriate about PEELY without clothes? And they just replied with, it's a banana, ma'am. So there's probably a lot more actual interesting things that happened during the Epic versus Apple case. However, I will say this is probably the funniest thing that came out of it so far. So I think by next week there's going to be more news, and I'll try to give a very big recap on it and like talk about what's being talked about in the case. So yeah, stick around for next week. Unfortunately, this week's been a little hectic for me, if you know what I mean. Anyway, hopping onto the next set of news. The Coalition, basically the creators of Gears of War, is moving to Unreal Engine 5. And I think this is really interesting. It's not quite out yet, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. But at least from what Epic has said, Unreal 4 and Unreal 5 are relatively the same-ish, at least in terms of like the groundwork. So moving from the Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5 shouldn't be that big of a jump. But of course, though, you have a lot more tools, you have a lot more nuances with each and every game engine. So they said for now, they're not going to have anything that's coming out. So I think that's a little bit bad because they do have Gears of War 5, but I think they said they stopped updates for that for now. And so, who knows? Maybe they're just moving Gears of War 5 onto Gears of War 5 onto the new engine, and then they'll start doing either a new game in the franchise or a new game franchise in general. So we'll see what the Coalition does in the future, and I'm kind of excited, honestly. Next up on the list, Lucasfilm classic games Zombie Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol are finally coming back to become more accessible on the eShop June the 29th. And where's the Sam & Max Hit the Road re-releases? Sure, I know Sam & Max Save the World got a remaster, and I've been playing that a little bit here and there. But what about Hit the Road? Come on, it's a classic game. I haven't played it, but at least from all the dialogue that I've seen out of context, it is pretty funny. And I think it'd be very, what would you call it? Very interesting to see how Sam & Max would fare within today's world. Because it definitely was very funny back in the day, and I think if they brought it back in full force and not with just a VR game, I think Sam & Max could be a very interesting game series to be existing in this timeline. For you fans of Resident Evil out there, there's a little bit of a controversy regarding a Dutch horror film director saying Capcom took a few designs from his film and basically turned it into a Resident Evil boss. And I hope this is not true, because plagiarism bad, kids. Plagiarism bad. And so I really hope that this was just parallel thinking and or it was just really, closely lined up. I really hope it isn't plagiarism. But if there was plagiarism and Capcom took a monster design, yeah, they should pay for it. Simple as that. Now, next up, for PlayStation fans, if you sign up for the PlayStation Days of Play, there's a ton of things that could come out of it. for you joining in. For example, so stage 1 hasn't quite begun yet, but do sign up. I've been having a little bit of trouble though, so it's taken me some time to get into it. But so basically, if you sign up, we'll get a PlayStation Network avatar dynamic theme, and get a few different PlayStation avatars for each stage that we pass. So basically, play video games, get trophies, and yeah, sign up for the PlayStation Days of Play. Next on the set of things that happened this week, DreamWorks' How to Train Your Dragon DLC came to Minecraft, and I find this very interesting. If I remember correctly, there was like one other DLC like this or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but Minecraft essentially is just branching out and continuing to interact with more and more fandoms. So it's obviously a win for Minecraft. It's obviously a win for How to Train Your Dragon. For How to Train Your Dragon, it brings more awareness to the series. For Minecraft, it brings more awareness to Minecraft. So, I mean, it's just a win-win situation for both of these IPs, and yeah, I think it's a kind of interesting, honestly. Finally on our list, PlayStation Studios is basically creating a ton of new games. 25, they say, are in development right now, and half of them are entirely new IPs. And so, obviously, we don't know many of the new IP games, because so far, Horizon Forbidden Dawn, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok, have been announced. Some with release dates, some without. And so, yeah, this is pretty big news for Sony to be saying, hey, we have 25 new titles. This definitely expands the game library, and if any of the new IPs are as innovative and or at least creative as Returnal, I definitely think PlayStation's got a ton of good first-party games coming up on the horizon. Get it? Horizon Forbidden Dawn. But so definitely, if Sony can continue capitalizing on the PlayStation 5 success being the fastest selling console, yeah, this could bode very good news for them, and I think we've got very interesting competition. I do wonder how Microsoft's going to react to this. They do have like Game Pass, and they're constantly adding games on there, even third-party games, and even Major League Baseball, a Sony game, onto the Game Pass. So I wonder if they're going to try to pump out as many first-party games as Sony is, or if they're going to be essentially like taking a backseat on that, give or take. Like, they're still going to be releasing first-party games, but I wonder if it's going to be as many as Sony, or if they're going to focus on their Game Pass, trying to include everybody within their gaming service. We'll see in the future. Oh, one thing I do want to talk about before I end this week's gaming news session. I will be streaming Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I believe, Wednesday. Do look out for my Twitter that I'll be dropping in the description for if I will be streaming that day or not. I haven't played the original Mass Effect or its sequels. I do know the general plot line for the games, but this will be my first time running into the game. So definitely I'll see y'all maybe when I'm streaming, and if not, I'll post a review for this game, and you can join me there. So that's the end of this week's gaming news. While I wanted to talk more about the Epic versus Apple case, unfortunately, due to time constraints, I'm only able to talk about the whole PEELY situation, which I found wildly hilarious. And yeah, I definitely think it's very interesting that Apple is trying to paint Epic in such a light that shows them as being very lewd and greedy and whatnot. Coming from Apple, that's hilarious, the greedy part. So by next week, I definitely do want to talk more about that case and basically give my predictions on who's going to be winning for what reason. And yeah, I do hope good things come out of this court case. Basically meaning I hope Epic wins, but I'll explain more of that later in the next video. So until then, I'll see y'all later.